Hey everybody, this is Lisa and Nancy with Big Blend Radio, and today we're out on a boardwalk overlooking a swamp and an old-growth forest all at the same time. We are at Asbury-Woods. I keep wanting to say Asbury Park. It's Bruce Springsteen, man. It's where it is. We're with Jennifer Farrar, and you're the executive director of this. It's like a giant park. How many acres is this?
Yeah, so Asbury-Woods is 205 acres, and it's spread out on 2 parcels on either side of Asbury Roads in Erie, Pennsylvania.
So right now, it really is true. We've got the old-growth forest. We've got the swamp, or we should say wetland here, right?
Yes, yeah.
And then just up the little pathway here, you've got a meadow.
Yeah, it's amazing how much diversity of habitat is packed into these 200 acres. You know, we do, and then we have some trails, and some of our property goes through the Walnut Creek watershed. So there really is a lot of diversity of habitat that you can experience in these 200 acres.
Is it mostly children that come out, or students, or are you getting everybody of all ages?
You know, people of all ages. As we were standing here, we saw a family with a little toddler, you know, and I see, you know, elderly people coming out and using our boardwalk as a safe place to get outside and in the woods without having to worry about tripping hazards. So we get all ages doing all kinds of outdoor recreation on our property.
And this part, so like you're saying, there's 2 split sides, so this part is where you have your educational center too.
Yeah, so on this parcel of our property, which is about 50 acres, we have an incredible nature center that we use for a bunch of our community programming, our school programming. We also have picnic shelters. We have a working sugar shack. We have a low ropes course that is a great team building addition that we added just within the last couple of months.
Wow. And the boardwalk is something brand new, which is really cool. I think you get to go for a walk in the woods, and moms can take strollers with kids, and
it's a nice wide boardwalk.
It is. So we replaced an old one that was here that was a lot narrower. The ramps were a little steeper. It didn't have handrails. So we were really committed to doing one that would be accessible for anyone who has any kind of mobility issues. We widened it, added the handrails, and it opened in December of 2019.
Cool. Now, is it going to be open in the winter too?
Oh yeah, we're year-round here at Asbury-Woods.
Because you guys have 4 real seasons here.
We certainly do. You know, and we try and really highlight those seasons year-round with different festivals and events that we do, and encouraging people to get outside and enjoy the outdoors no matter what the weather is. There's something to appreciate. And I just love watching different parts of the property as it changes through the seasons. I mean, it's really fascinating to see the change and take the time to notice those things.
She's got a cool office there.
Yes, she does. No, I think the change of seasons, especially for us coming from the West, I don't think we've ever really seen it. Like go through the process of it.
The whole 4 seasons.
Yeah.
No, it's pretty out here, and you can see that fall's starting to peek through. You know, it's just a little bit, and it's so funny. People will always say it. It's this little shift, and you mostly feel it early in the mornings to start. People have this little shift. You're like, fall's in the air. Yeah,
you can feel it in the air, in the temperatures, in the barometer, the clouds. It's just this little, nudge towards fall.
Exactly. But at the same time, you've got things like all the milkweeds in bloom. I love the one part of the meadow here where we are, where there's all the wildflowers. So as part of this, also teaching people what native plants are.
Yeah, we have a lot of educational programs that talk about, why it's important to preserve and protect native species, native habitat for native animals.
Absolutely.
And we just want to, foster that appreciation. Now, some people, their appreciation is coming and taking a walk in the woods. They may not know the names of the species or anything they're seeing, but they understand how peaceful and how joyful it is to be out in the woods. Other people come here because they want to study the diversity of the plants. They want to study the diversity of the birds that visit. So we try and meet people wherever they are on that spectrum and say this is a place to come and enjoy the outdoors.
And geology too, right? You were saying that earlier, that geology is a deal.
Yeah, it's really interesting having our property go through the Walnut Creek watershed and the layers of sediment that you can view right there as you stand in the creek. And so we do have some school lessons around geology. We do some community programs that are geology hikes. So people, you could take from just going for a walk where you're wading through the creek to, well, wait a minute, what am I really looking at here?
Yeah.
So.
And bees. Let's talk about the bees. This is the coolest thing in the nature center. Okay, you get sea frogs, turtles. So you show the different species that are like native to the area. But then you've got the bees. You see them coming into their little bee shed.
Yeah.
I know, it's their bee shed. Yeah. And there's a hive, but you can see them come from the outside. From the garden, which is also a monarch way station.
Right, yes. Yeah, so, we have several beehives on the property outside, but of course, unless you're a beekeeper who's all suited up and knows what you're doing, you never get to see the inner workings of the hive. So in the Nature Center is an observational hive where you get to see the interaction in the hive as, all the different cells and the honey's being produced and the bees are flying in and out of the hive. And what's really cool is, once or twice a year, suddenly we'll notice the hive is empty and they've swarmed.
Oh.
And so you get to see that process. And usually our beekeeper will find the swarm in one of the trees. So it's just really cool to see the process up front and close instead of locked in beehives where you're like, oh, I don't want to go near there.
Yeah, wow.
That's wild. To me, it was just really cool to check out. I love that, you're emphasizing pollinators like bees, monarchs. Obviously, you've got a bird station, too. So we're seeing birds are all over, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So I like that. I know that this region, you have over 300 species of birds, I think.
Yeah, it is quite a destination, our region, with, with Presque Isle being just down the road from us and being such a destination for birders and bird watching. We're really close to that, and then we do get some people who come because they know with the different habitats we have, they're going to see some species they might not see at Presque Isle.
Yeah, you've got a lot of forest, which is really cool. And then let's talk about the forest because that ties into the history of this property and schools, right?
Sure.
But this really comes from, a mill industry.
So
or paper mill.
One of sort of the industrialists of Erie's history was two brothers with the last name of Barron, and they co-started a paper company, Hammer Mill Paper Company. And one of the brothers, Otto Barron, originally owned all of this property. It was sort of his hobby farm and his getaway, outside of the city.
Very cool.
So upon his death, he donated all the property to Mill Creek Township School District. Now, he had a history of donating property to the school district. He had previously donated some of his property that's attached to this parcel for a school. So upon his death, he donated it in 1957. And if you read his will, it says for educational and recreational purposes. And it just gets me so excited that to this day, even though that the ownership has changed, it's now owned by the nonprofit Asbury-Woods Partnership, our mission statement still uses those words, educational and recreational purposes. So we're still carrying forward that legacy of Otto Barron, and all around us on the property you see the legacy of trees he planted, that he was sort of experimenting for his paper mill.
So this was really owned by the schools for a long time.
It was owned by the schools from 1957 to 2016. And then in 2016, a nonprofit that had formed to support Asbury-Woods, the Friends of Asbury-Woods, they did a fundraising campaign to purchase it and preserve it. I mean, let's be honest, nature centers and wildlife conservation and land conservation isn't a school district's natural niche.
It's interesting because the mansion at the Hagen House History Center, the Watson Kurtzy mansion, that was also owned by the school district. At one point, different school districts. That was the Erie School District. But
this
it's just
was
a different
owned
thing.
by the Mill Creek School District, but
I've never heard of.
I don't know who gives
this is a whole different thing.
I don't know. You're right. It is a little odd.
It's unique. It's the way. I mean, they probably at that time in history were thinking education and that kind of thing.
Well, funding education.
Yeah, and they probably they figured they'd have the capacity to maintain it, for educational purposes.
What's it like for kids to come here? Like the first thing, as soon as you get out of the car, I'm like, oh, we're in Heaven Land. This is Magic Land. Can I spend the day? Then we saw you have the gazebo with the roof garden, and then you've got the center itself, which is all like a massive roof garden, which is super cool to check out. What is it like when you see kids come here for the first time and get out in nature.
Yeah, I mean, it's just that sense of awe,
Yeah.
which to me is just amazing. And I mean, I hope that when adults come, they have that same feeling. I feel like that's what places like Asbury-Woods and parks can do for us, is that we can all tap into that awe that we felt as children, and that wonder, you know, feeling part of something bigger than ourselves. And kids, they display it right out there.
Yeah.
You see it.
Yeah, it's like, wow.
Yeah, you don't always
have to run.
Adults maybe don't put it out there and display it, but I feel like that's why people in their souls know places like this are important, because they feel that when they come places and get out in nature and in the woods and take the time.
That would be cool if adults got out of the car and like, oh, look at this, and they start running.
But I kind of get like that, and that's the thing. So what is it? Because you think about society's shift now this year, especially with COVID. I know that you had to like not do the same amount of programs, and you went online, and you've got a lot of online resources that rock. So everybody, just to get started, if you're not in Pennsylvania this year, check it out and then make plans to come. But for parents, a lot of them are homeschooling, and so you've got those kind of resources. But what about parents? I mean, suddenly like, oh, you know, I've been a city girl all my life. Now, you know, I've moved out into the country kind of thing. Now what am I going to do with my kids? Any, you know, tips for parents getting their kids out in nature who may not be a nature parent?
Yeah, you know, I think the biggest tip is take the cue from your kid. You know, they want to, sometimes it's so fun to let the kids lead and say, hey, can we explore that trail? Absolutely. Let the kids be the guide a little bit, because it comes natural to them. It's natural to them to be outside and feel free and get dirty and wonder what that plant is or wonder what that bug is. I mean, that comes natural, that curiosity to children. So I think letting the kids lead. We do have some tips on our website as well. I think it's 50 ways. And actually, I think one of our first virtual visits this spring, knowing that parents were in that situation, reflected that. And it talks about ways that you can enjoy and experience nature with your kid.
Picnics are good.
Yeah, right. Sometimes it's just sitting down.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's maybe not being rush. Sitting down and watching it all go by and appreciate it. So yeah,
watching
lots
the stars, you know, watching clouds, you know, that's really, look at that shape. That's a dragon in the sky.
That's right.
Yeah, letting that imagination kind of lead. But yeah, we offer the, and of course, you know, when people do come here, we have lots of public programs that are led by our education staff. And so that's sort of a great, well, it's geared towards learning for the kids. I think that the parents are sort of, it's modeling for the parents too, ways that they can replicate these kind of experiences with their children on their own, you know, on their own as well.
Well, you know, what's interesting is we have friends who have a campground. They had cabins, a very historic place. You know, these cabins date back to the 1800s from his family. It's a very cool spot. And so they started doing these glamping cabin-y kind of things. I mean, it had margarita makers and everything, right?
Yeah.
But I know. And she said that the cabins and then the glamping, and then they have actual campgrounds and state parks and everything around them. And she said it went from the cabin to the moms going, okay, it's all about the bathroom.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Don't forget, it's about the bathroom and the food, to the glamping. And then from the glamping to the actual camping. So there's these stages.
Yeah, of comfort level, as comfort
and
level.
And for the kids, too. Because if the kids haven't had that experience, there's that.
Yeah, there's a progression of raising your comfort level.
Yeah.
I've had people ask me, again, it's 200 acres, which, you know, in the middle of a suburban setting is fairly significant.
Yeah, I think so.
But I've had people say, well, I'm not comfortable. And these are adults. I'm not comfortable. What if I get lost? How will I know where to go, what to do? And I remind them that this is a really safe place to explore that way because we are in the middle of suburbia. This is not a deep, dark national forest with thousands and thousands of acres.
You're not going backpacking for 10 years.
If you get off trail or get lost, pick a direction and you're going to run into a road or a neighborhood. Like, this is a great way to raise your comfort level.
Yeah.
Or you can just go, help.
Yes, right. You are not... You know, I've told that lesson to my son. My family has a cabin near the Allegheny National Forest.
Okay.
And, you know, my sons are used to the outdoors, but my older son and I were doing a little hike, and he's like, you know, Mom, I think if we go that way, we're going to end back up in the parking lot. I said, Anthony, I think your instincts are right. My sense of direction tells us that would take us exactly where you think it is. I said, but take a minute and think about this. We are surrounded by thousands of acres of forest. We are going to go back exactly the way we can with all the landmarks that we noted along the way and be safe and smart about this. You know, because that's what you have to do in those situations. You come here, you're going to be okay. You're going to find a neighbor or a road.
You know,
it's a very safe way to
Nancy does to me. She said, let's go back the way we came. And I'm like, no, I swear.
I know, I swear.
We've ended up in different countries. Seriously. And I'm not kidding. And getting out and not knowing what road we're on, what country we're in, and being picked up by farmers.
And then I like the name of this road, so let's go
do
down.
that. But you know, if the conversations my son and I had, so we didn't come prepared for.
Exactly.
We are doing we came prepared for an hour hike or something. We didn't have food, water,
all the
change of clothes, rain gear. So, you know, I think sometimes it's important to have those conversations and lessons with kids so that they learn it's good to get out and explore, but think about what your intent was that day, what you came prepared
calculated
for.
risk.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think nature really does teach you life lessons.
Absolutely.
You know, it does get your core about decision making, and so that's what I think. So all ages here. All mobility levels.
Yep, absolutely.
Right?
Yes.
That's really awesome.
This boardwalk provides a great way for people to still get out in nature.
Programming for the rest of the year, what do you think it's going to look like?
So we've been carrying on with some amount of programming since June. Based on the seasons and the weather, we've still been able to do that all outdoors. We intend to carry on with programming with as much outdoor focus as we can. When we do have to do things indoors, we certainly are following safety precautions like smaller groups and spreading out and cleaning and disinfecting. But I think we are really lucky because we were so outdoor based anyways, and so many other options have been canceled or not available for people. So we have seen an incredible response to the programs that we're doing. Because people, they need something to do. They're looking for those experiences and those connections. We're carrying on. Everything's a little different and a little modified
for everybody, everywhere around the world.
But this is good, healthy fun.
I know. Yeah, the worst case scenario is come out and take a walk.
Yeah, I mean, our trails have remained, you know, we haven't closed our trail a single day of this. They're open dawn to dusk for free every single day of the year. We have, for people who maybe aren't as comfortable and say, what do I do? I don't know, just take a walk. What do I do? We also have on our website some suggestions for some self-guided activities. That some are like QR codes that we have around the property that you can, you know, get some information. We have a compass course that you can do if you want to, do some orienteering.
That's a good idea.
Well, but you know what? That's a really big deal because we're so GPS minded. And we actually on the tour have not used GPS until summer this year. And I was forced into it because I got lost in Lubbock.
That's a ring to it. That sounds like a movie.
It was
Lost
like
in Lubbock.
I know. That's kind of the way.
Oh no!
I know. And we were really on a time crunch, and it was like crucial we get where we were getting. And so I was like, So now we, use Jane. That's her name. Jane says. Anyway, it's a crazy thing. But as soon as we started using her and leaning in and more on it, you start to not really know your surroundings. You're just going by left, right, straight, left, right, and you forget what's north, south, east, west. You forget, you don't understand the layout of the land of a place. So I think
and you don't
this
retain
orienteering and learning compass skills is huge.
It is, and we try to do. Yes, I mean we talk a lot about conservation and environmental issues, but we try and also do a lot of things around just outdoor recreation and getting people comfortable in outdoor settings and in nature settings. And I think you can do to raise your comfort level, like knowing how to use a compass.
Exactly.
We have geocaches all over the property. Again,
cool.
gives a good.
I saw that you did the Pokemon thing.
Oh yeah, we have. There's I guess it's still a popular thing, but apparently on the property there's some really cool, I don't understand the game, but some Pokemon
And something
animals
happened
rewards. I'm not really sure how it works, but
if you want a Pokemon.
apparently if you pass certain areas, but I don't really know how that works. But yeah.
Awesome.
But anyways, those are great self-guided sort of things that people can do if they don't feel comfortable coming to a group program. There's some self-guided activities they can do on the property.
Awesome. And Christmas, you got Christmas coming up?
Yeah, well, it seems far away now, but it will be here before we know it. We do a wonderful winter festival called Winter Wonderland, and we put lights on the boardwalk and
See, I wanna
lights
do
in
that.
the trees. And,
I love twinkly lights.
Yes.
and, again, there's so many families who that's their part of their holiday tradition is getting all bundled up and taking a walk on the boardwalk and seeing the lights. And a lot of times those things are sort of gateways for people. Maybe they come to an event like that and that's their first experience with us, and then they come back for more and more.
So the Christmas vibe, the holiday season, the winter season, what about your sugar shack? Is that the time frame? I mean, when does the sugar making happen?
Sure.
Because that's our first sugar shack, okay? So, and I want to come back and make sugar.
Yeah, you want to know when the air smells like maple syrup. Yes.
When does that happen?
So,
good.
That is all nature dependent. It is based on a weather pattern. So, we will tap our trees, and it's typically going to be February or early March.
Okay.
But what gets the sap running is all based on weather and temperature patterns and really temperature differentials. So it's going to be colder at night and then warm during the day to get all the sap flowing through the tree. So it's a very specific temperature variation, and so we can't say this is the day we do it every year. It's watching what the weather patterns are looking like.
But that teaches everybody.
Yes, it's an incredible lesson, and it's in some years it's a couple days that the sap's running. Days where it seems like we flip a switch from winter to spring quickly, we might get a really low sap collection year. Days where it feels like winter is dragging into spring forever. And there's bigger temperature differentials over a longer period of time, we'll get a season where the sap is flowing more days and we can collect more.
Cool.
And we take it in the sugar shack, and we have an evaporator where we boil off all the water and are left with the sugary maple syrup.
Awesome.
And the air smells wonderful.
This is so cool. Well, I love this because, when you think about winter here, everyone's like, oh my gosh, it's so cold. But everyone we've talked to has said, winter is a magical time here. It's cold, just wear the right clothes.
Yeah. You just have to embrace it. So, we do, in the winter, we rent snowshoes and we rent cross-country skis. Great way for people to give it a try. Maybe they're like, I've never tried that before. We also do lessons. So if you want some guidance, we do lessons on using your snowshoes and cross-country skis all winter long.
I think that's cool.
So,
You are right close to Canada. So, we're at the top here.
Yep,
we're at the top of the country.
Yes.
And you're in Lake
We're on
Erie.
the border.
Well, I'll say Lake Erie. Well, it's around the corner from you, Lake Erie. But we're in Erie, Pennsylvania. What's the website for everyone to connect with you?
So it's Asbury-Woods.org.
Asbury-Woods.org, not park, woods. Because into the woods we must go.
Yes, yeah.
That's right. Okay.
So it's funny, I was actually just in New Jersey recently and was in Asbury Park.
What's it like?
Yeah, it was on the shore. It was a different kind of shore.
It's not like your...
No, it's not like here. It's much more urban.
Okay.
Much more populated.
Come to the woods.
It's a little different.
Yeah. Come to the woods.
But-
last question. How do you get your financial support? How can people be part of it?
Yeah. Well, we have a lot of different ways that people get involved and support Asbury Woods. Obviously, when people come to some of our programs and events and festivals and things like that, their fees help support and maintain the organization. We also are very lucky to have a lot of individuals and businesses who make donations to us on a yearly basis, which are so important for us to be able to 200 acres doesn't maintain itself. It doesn't. It takes a lot of work and upkeep. And we're very lucky to be supported by a lot of volunteers too. We have volunteers who come and do trail maintenance for us almost every day. Volunteers who come and do weeding in the gardens. So we have a lot of support to keep this, for the community and for visitors. But yeah, donations are a critical part of how we can do this.
So Asbury-Woods.org, everyone. Yeah, Thanks so much for spending time and taking us out into the woods and swamps and gardens.
Absolutely.
And
Thanks
the
for
Sugar
visiting.
Shack. And the Sugar Shack. We have to come back for the Sugar Shack.
Okay.
Well, I'm sitting on my back porch, my guitar in my hands, and I'm looking at the afternoon, I'm looking at the land. It's got that honey-colored light, golden rose reflecting from the sun. She steps outside and asks me, what are you doing, hon? And I'm loving the land, I'm just loving the land. I'm loving the land, I'm just loving the land. Got an angel in my corner, must have a Buddha at my side. And if I had any worries, I've left them all behind. Maybe it's the time of day, maybe it's the light. Blame it on the air I'm breathing, but I couldn't feel more right. And I'm loving the land, I'm just loving the land. I'm loving the land, I'm just loving the land. Afternoon light on a simple corner lot in a humble town, waiting for the sun to go down. Well, when this land was made, it was made from near and far. Molecules and galaxies and mystery and bits of stars. And I'm just letting go like a leaf to the wind. I'm floating on a feeling, I'm just giving in. And I'm loving the land, I'm just loving the land. I'm loving the land, I'm just loving the land. This land is your land, my land, from California to New York to the Fiji Island.